Hi, hello ORU. So my name is Rachel, and you may have had me for a biology or a bioethics class. And if you have, you know that I love plants, so this sermon is going to have plants in it. If you've ventured over to our new Biological Sciences Center, you know we are quite excited about growing plants and researching plants over there. And we value plants scientifically. They produce biochemicals that we can use medicinally. People have used them traditionally long before that, before fancy scientific equipment could tell us what they do in the molecular level. There certainly is reason to protect biodiversity because it's useful to us. It nourishes us. It can provide medicines and cures. But today I'd like to explore a different perspective on God's creation in this short talk. Beyond merely being a testament to God's provision, nature serves as a divine revelation. The inherent beauty within the natural world acts as a pathway to understanding God more deeply, and it beckons us to worship. Before I developed a consuming curiosity for plants, I really only grew things I could eat, and sometimes not very well, in Oklahoma. Then I had daughters who just loved pink and purple flowers, so I planted tulips and hyacinths, and this led to a pollinator garden so we could attract butterflies, but then it also attracted bees, which they weren't crazy about. And then one time I went to Trader Joe's and tried my hand at 5 houseplants. And then by the end of that year, it turned into 20. And then like many during the pandemic, I went full on house jungle. So I was finding joy in growing something I couldn't eat. Each new unfurling leaf brought excitement. My phone was full of pictures of like new leaves unfurling in all their stages. And then seeing if I could propagate one plant and make it into 5. Seeing how big I could get rainforest plants to grow in my house was a challenge accepted. And then naturally I had to buy a 4-foot by 4-foot grow tent and put it in my living room so that I could keep optimal rainforest conditions. God bless my husband. There was space for me in this room, this grow tent, and so I'd grab my coffee and zip myself in that tent, exploding with shelves full of beautiful rare plants, and my heart would be full. I would recharge. Undoubtedly, you have experienced moments when creation's magnificence has left you awestruck, prompting a pause, a deep breath, and a silent acknowledgement that something greater is at play here. These instances, these glimpses of Eden, are divine invitations to explore, to wonder, to deepen our communion with God. In his work, The Weight of Glory, C.S. Lewis eloquently put it, we do not merely want to see beauty. We want something else which can hardly be put into words. We want to be united with the beauty we see, to pass into it, to receive it into ourselves. Nature in its beauty is not just God's artwork. It's an invitation to know him. It's no accident that businesses are built on escapes to nature to find healing and peace. As Christians, Scripture teaches us that God's attributes are also revealed in his creation. Romans 1:20 says, "For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made." And if we go back to the very beginning, we see the purest communion God and humans had was in a garden, the Garden of Eden. Here, God breathed his very own breath, his personhood into humans, and surrounded him with his creatures. And then God gave Adam his very first job, scientist. Surely, using the scientific method, Adam observed and named all the living creatures while being in the pure presence and fellowship of God. Yet, this communion didn't last. The fall created a rupture in this perfect existence, introducing strife that we and all of creation have felt deeply ever since. Romans 8:22 speaks to this groaning, our longing for restoration and redemption that pervades the whole of creation. This loss, separating God and man, manifests in the environmental crises we see today, as well as our personal pains and sufferings. And yet, in the midst of this pain and desperation, we still see Scripture saturated with moments of God using his creation to reach us. From a quiet whisper on Mount Horeb, to a chorus of angels singing to shepherds in the field, to miraculous partings of seas, food deliveries by ravens, and storms silenced at his command. Through both the ordinary and the extraordinary, God continues to unveil himself to us, using creation as the medium. The person who modeled this connection with God and nature best is Jesus. Whether it was retreating to the wilderness to prepare for ministry, withdrawing to a mountainside for moments of prayer away from crowds and his disciples, delivering sermons by the tranquil Sea of Galilee, or surrendering his deepest grief to the Father in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus showed us the value of embracing nature as a sanctuary of prayer and to hear God's voice. He teaches us the importance of finding moments of peace and connection with God in the midst of creation, just as we did in the Garden of Eden. So as I close, my prayer for you is that you would seek to know him and to hear him through the details of creation, whether it's on a hike, at a botanical gardens, or in a biology class. And that through experiencing the beauty of the Creator's world, you would be reminded that God is reaching out to you.